What's up, members of the barrio? It's John, coming to you from my tiny New York City apartment in Greenwich Village, Manhattan. And today, instead of going out to explore the city, why don't I show you guys around my home? Because for many of you, you might have a dream to live in downtown Manhattan, and you could also be living in a 350 square foot apartment like I am. But here we go, 10 tips to survive living in a tiny New York City apartment. Before we begin, a couple of notes. The first is that I am no expert on interior design, but I have lived here for 8 years and these tips have all worked for me. And second, having a tiny apartment isn't all that bad. Less space to clean, less things to break, and less uninvited guests to come over. Make sure to stay tuned till the end of the video. I'm gonna tell you how much I spend on renting this place, but let's get to that list. Think of it like New York City. When you run out of space, instead of building out, you build up. And this apartment was not very well equipped with shelves when we first moved in. Now, we were lucky that we had a friend who was very handy, and he came over and he helped us build a bunch of shelves which are still in use today. For example, these two right here. But if you don't have a handy friend, you can always use a website like taskrabbit.com, who have happily sponsored this. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody sponsored this video. I just came up with this idea yesterday. But shelves are so crucial. Let me show you the ones in the bedroom, which we also built. And do use TaskRabbit though, they're not paying me. Up here, look at the extra space that we got by building a shelf above the bedroom door. We've got suitcases. We have an air mattress, we have extra bedding, extra clothing in there. Shelves are your friends. Mirrors. Plain and simple, they amplify light and they make spaces look bigger. This was one of the first touches we did on this apartment when we moved here 8 years ago. In the hallway here, we have a full-length mirror which wraps right over the door so it doesn't lean out at all. It's excellent. Just before walking out of the apartment, you want to check yourself out, make sure you look good for New York City. It's here, and it also amplifies the space, I think, when you are walking in for the first time into the apartment down the hallway. So another nice little touch. We have 4 different mirrors in an apartment of 350 square feet, and I'm not even counting the mirror in the bathroom. This is actually a touch that I did not add until Adriana moved into here full time. And why don't we let TeamAdriana tell you why she likes having plants in a small apartment?
Hi guys. Well, since we don't have a view of the outside world, as you can see, having plants for me is really important because it's like having a little bit of nature inside of the house, like having something alive going on in the apartment. And actually we got these babies at the supermarket, and this one was really small and now it's super big. So I would recommend you to look on the internet what kind of plants are do well in a how can I say, space without light, so they don't die. Or you can have some cactuses too, but I really love this one because it's growing not really fast, and as you can see, it doesn't get a lot of light. So it's perfect for these little apartments, and I think it's really cool to have something living here with us.
Yeah, because we don't have any pets.
Yeah, no.
Or kids.
It's our little baby.
Taking care of smells. Yeah, this is actually more important than you would think. We take the garbage out at least once a day here, maybe more. And if you're eating really smelly food like salmon, which I'm a huge fan of, you throw that away, by the next morning, your apartment's going to stink. And this is something that you will especially notice in a small space, because if you look this way, the bedroom is not very far from the kitchen. So it's very important to keep up with taking out the garbage and the smells. And now Adriana's gonna show you a little trick that she likes to use here.
As John said, he loves salmon, which gets really stinky. Sometimes we eat it at night and we don't want to run outside to take the trash out because we live in the 4th floor, so we don't want to go downstairs and come upstairs for that. So something I started to do is, in the freezer, I keep a little container like this with a plastic bag. What I do is when we finish the food and we have some little leftovers, like something you are not gonna eat anymore, instead of throwing it out in the garbage, I put the rest of the food in this one. It has nothing right now, but I put the rest of the food in this little bag, then I close it, and then I put it in the freezer, just right here.
Next to the vodka.
Next to the vodka. So it gets frozen and it doesn't smell. The next morning when we are going to take all the trash out, I take the little container, I take the plastic bag, I close it, and I throw it out. And it doesn't smell because it's frozen.
Also good for bananas and some other products,
yeah,
right?
Everything, all the rest of food that you have there, it's small, of course. You can put it there and it's not going to stink the next day.
Decluttering. This could be the most important tip for living in a small space. We put clothes that we don't use away in boxes, especially winter stuff. So for example, we have this huge box up here that has a lot of clothing. And now we're in the other room. This is Adriana's winter stuff, all in this bag, out of sight, so the closet doesn't look too stuffy. But when I say decluttering, it's not all about clothing. For me, it's also about what you have hanging on the walls. And let me show you, we didn't go too crazy around the apartment. We have one portrait here. We have one portrait that actually Adriana drew herself over there. I've seen a lot of small apartments where people put tons of personal things on the walls, a lot of pictures. And when you have a small space and the walls are really cluttered up, I do not think it's gonna make the space look any bigger. And now I wanna show you something in the bathroom. And credit to Adriana for helping me organize some of these things. On the shelves here, we barely have anything. It's just makeup and deodorant and a few other little touches. And then we put a lot of things into hiding. I opened up the mirror in the bathroom, all hidden here. And then up here, we have extra things like shavers, etc. So when you actually come into the bathroom, you don't see a ton of stuff, and it makes your bathroom feel a lot bigger than it actually is. Making sure that everything is sized appropriately. You really have to be paying attention to details on space here. Adriana's desk is by far the best example of this. It is shaped like a pentagon. I had to Google this. I forgot what it was called. My geometry is really bad. So look, 5-sided art desk here. It literally slides into this corner, a perfect utilization of what we've got here. We used to have a couch here, and I did not think that it was so smart. Now, coming this way, something we've also added recently is this little rectangular table for the coffee maker. We never had it before. We used to put the coffee maker on the table, but it just slides into this corner, and we are not overutilizing our space. Notice we really don't have anything that's circular here. Most of the shapes are rectangular. And then come and check out the shelf by the front. This is like a Jenga piece. It just completely takes up almost everything, leaving just a small indent here for umbrellas. I think we have a scale and another umbrella up here, a little space up here for printing paper, for stationery, and then we're gonna walk into the living room and look at the size of the couch. It is just enough where we have two little tables on either side. Even the TV, we could have went much bigger than this, but it would have been overkill for the amount of space that we have in the living room. So always think, what is the perfect size for everything to have in a tiny apartment? Because it really is like a jigsaw puzzle. For your mental health, you need to leave a small apartment at least once a day, and this is something that's really helped me out a lot. I mean, New York City is your living room. You don't really need a living room, and if I am cooped up in here for more than 24 hours, I start to get this need to leave. I mean, rent is expensive enough as is, but go enjoy the city when you get the chance, because one of the big problems with many of the tiny apartments in New York City is the view. Or should I say lack of view? And perfect example right here. Our view outside the kitchen is of a wall. One thing I miss about living in a house is being able to look outside and see some of the changes in the weather. So, don't let that keep you from getting a tiny apartment without a good view, because remember, you can always go outside and you've got New York City right there. Light colors give an apartment depth, and I think in a very small space, it is absolutely crucial. And the room where we use light colors the most is the room that we change the most. We turn this into our living room, so come with me now. So look at the color of the couch. Look at the color of the pillow. I think these all complement each other very well with this space. I think we're lucky as well that we got light walls to begin with. I could not imagine living here with darker walls. And then even the curtains, we had a choice. I wasn't gonna put blue or black. And then with light colors, you always wanna let that light in. So whenever I start my day, I pull the shades up, want lots of sunlight. When you don't have a lot of space to work with, having the right amount of cutlery, kitchen supplies, very, very important, as we don't have a huge table. And now I'm gonna let Adriana talk about some of the changes she made when she came to this apartment, which I completely needed some help with.
Well, when I came here, Jen had a lot of stuff in the like inside of these cabinets, like a lot of pans and all like I don't know, like stuff to cook, but he didn't actually use them. So I threw them out. I gave some to other people that maybe needed it, and I just get what we need. And it's like 4 plates of every single one. And it's just John and I, and sometimes we have some guests, so we have extra if that's the case, but we can't have a lot of people over because the apartment is small.
Guys, check this out. Limited edition Here Be Barr coffee mug. Adriana bought me this as a gift one year. One of the coolest gifts I ever got.
Let's try it out.
Removing your closet doors. Did you know that when we moved into this apartment, there was actually a door right here? So imagine this, I'm opening a door and it's coming out right here. Now, this desk would not work with closet doors intact. There are some people that say, get a sliding door. For me, I like having the openness. I don't have a ton of guests just running around my room anyway looking into my closet. So removing closet doors is just a small thing that you can do to get more space in your bedroom, especially when that space is very tight. All right, guys, we're getting down low for this one. Bonus tip, under bed space. This bed did not come with these little lifts. We had to buy them, but look how much space we got under the bed. I mean, this bed, it's full size, takes up practically the entire room. So we have space for files and different things, extra clothing. I have a big box under there that's rectangular. You know, go to like the Container Store and get things like that, slide them under your bed, frees up a lot of space. Make sure that you get some kind of a lift underneath any kind of bed when you live in a tiny apartment. If you're curious of our rent, $2,700 a month. Yes, it is a lot of money to live in one of the best neighborhoods, in my opinion, in all of New York City. And guys, please tell me down below in the comments what you thought of my tips. Do you have any other tips for people moving to small apartments? What do you think they should do? What should they buy? What shouldn't they buy? I'm very curious. Guys, check out my other New York City playlists as well. Thank you so much for watching as always. Hope you enjoyed the tour. Until next time.